and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is the final part of my Beach Guitarist series, and in this video we're going to add the final details and the refinements to the painting. The app that I'm using is Sketchable for Windows, and if you're interested in following along traditionally, check out part 1 in this series, where I have a discussion of all the materials that are suitable for this painting. So I want to go ahead and just kind of add final details to this picture. And we just kind of need to do a few refinements to the guitar and the figure and work on the beach and the sand and maybe add a few little special effects to the sun. So here I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start working on the sun. And what I want to do is make it glow more. Instead of it just being a round circle in the sky, I want to go ahead and add a little bit of a glow around it. And you can use your airbrush in Sketchable, or you can just use one of the finer paint brushes, one that's sort of grainier looking. And so that's kind of what I've done here. I've just added a little bit of a halo sort of around the sun so that it doesn't look quite so hard-edged. We just kind of want to soften the edge on it just a little bit. And also we kind of want to work a little bit more on the water and give it kind of a more of a wave look, add more waves to the back, sort of. So we want to add a little bit more dark to it and make it look like it has waves coming up on the shore, and so I'm using kind of a darker blue. If you're following along traditionally, you would use ultramarine blue if you're using acrylics, and just kind of a darker blue. And here I'm just making sort of little zigzag lines in the water and then smoothing them out, and that gives indications of waves. And you want to add a little bit of maybe some lighter blue also, just to underneath the wave there, just to make it look like it's kind of washing up on the beach there. And then you can go ahead and add some highlights also to the water. Add a little bit a more yellow again to make it look like the sun is glinting off of the water a little bit. And you can use your regular paintbrush, or you can use the pastel if you want to, just to kind of get a broken line here. And if you're following along traditionally with pastels, you would use your pencil and just kind of smudge some color in. And here I've smudged a little bit of darker orange in there. And make it go all the way up onto the edge of the beach there, because that makes it look like the water is reflecting before it hits the edge of the sand. And then you can kind of go ahead and smudge it back in. And then I just want to work on the beach color a little bit, and I want to add a little bit of dark to the beach, sort of bluish colors and purples maybe, and kind of have a zigzag shape also in the sand, because the sand in the painting is not flat. It's got little humps and little dunes, sort of, kind of, and it's all puffed up around her feet, sort of. And so you want to make sure that you cover her feet kind of so that it makes it look like she's in the sand there, and it just gives it a more realistic look. You don't want her to be floating above the sand, so you want to go ahead and put some up around her feet. And then here I'm just adding some purples and a little bit of the light orange again to give it the highlight, like the sunset is glinting off the edges of the little dunes in the sand. And you just kind of want pockets of dark and light here on this. And I'll go back in Sketchable and blend it in with the blending brush. If you're doing this with pastels, you would use your blending stomp. If you're doing this with acrylics, you might smudge it with a paper towel or your finger. You just kind of want a soft look to the sand. You don't want it to look really sharp edged or jagged, because we want kind of a powdery soft look. And you can just go ahead and add different colors of orange, just a little bit, on the tops, and you can add little bits of yellow, light yellow. And then here I wanted to darken the sand a little bit more, make it not look quite as bright, because in the painting it looks kind of, or in the picture, the photo reference, it looks kind of blue. So we kind of just want to darken that a little bit and make it look like it's starting to get dark and the sun is setting. And just leave little pockets of light though on it, so that it looks like the last rays of the sun are glinting on the edges of the sand. And we're trying to get that look sort of on the Guitarist as well. And I just want to go ahead and sort of darken her dress a little bit more with this glazing technique. And you can use the airbrush for this, and if you're following along with acrylics, a really thin wash of purple or blue maybe. And I'm putting this on the dress, and you can put it kind of on the figure as well and over the guitar, just making it look a little bit more shadowed and leaving the edges lighter and light on the hair there, just adding a little bit of light on the guitar. And you might want to make it kind of a broken edge look as well too, just to make it, it's called edge lighting, and they use that a lot in comics. So you don't have to make it quite as noticeable in this painting, but just leave a little bit of glints of light on it. And here I'm just kind of refining her shoulder just a little bit with the pencil, because I want a broken line. I don't want a real solid looking line. Because again, I'm going to leave this picture sort of painterly looking. I want it to kind of look, well, not unrefined maybe, and sort of, I don't know if unrefined is the right word, but painterly, where you can see brush strokes. It just gives it a more traditional media look when you do that. And then here I'm just kind of trying to work back on the edge of the guitar, because I accidentally smudged it out and smudged her thumb there. So you kind of have to go back and work on that a little bit, refine it just a little bit more. But again, I'm sort of leaving the unfinished look, because I want this to look more naturalistic. And I'm just sort of going around and looking at all the different things that I need to do, and refining the strings just a little bit, straightening them out just a little bit more. You can pick and choose areas that you want to look more refined than others, and that will actually give the illusion that your painting is really finished if you just pick certain areas and then kind of leave other edges, you know, not quite as finished, and it gives it a really neat effect. And then here I want to do sun rays, and so I'm using the straight guide in a really light orange color, and I'm just kind of pulling sun rays out from the sun right here, making lines out from the sun, just making it look like it's sun rays. Now if you're doing this traditionally, you're going to make the lines soft the minute that you do that, and you'll have to just do a glazing technique with acrylic and don't make a solid line. But in this program, I have to go ahead and make the line first, and then on a separate layer, make sure that this is all on a separate layer. Then I can go and use the blending brush and smooth out those lines, and then it gives the effect of sun rays shining over her shoulder, and it works quite nicely when you do that in this painting. And if you're doing this with pastels, you would probably use a chalk pastel and use the sticks to do that, and just use a very light touch as well. And then I'm just kind of doing a little bit more refinements to her hair, working on just different parts of the picture here. And then I went ahead and signed it, but usually I find one or two more things that I have to do just to kind of fix it up just a little bit more. But I'm about finished with it, I decided, and like I said, I wanted to add a little bit more detail in certain places, so I added a little bit of some wood texture to the guitar. But that's about all that I'm going to do for it, because like I said, I want it to look painterly, and since this app probably doesn't have quite as naturalistic look as, say, Corel Painter or Art Rage or Infinite Painter, some of those, you have to kind of manufacture that look. And so that's what I've done by just leaving this painting sort of sketchy looking and sort of soft on the edges in places, and just trying to get sort of a naturalistic look with this painting. So this is the end of my Beach Guitarist series, and hit the subscribe button if you want to stay tuned for a brand new series coming up soon. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions or any suggestions about what you would like to see next, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.